All right, tonight I want to talk about the space between. Keep getting that pop up in my head. And first, I want to go over the bones I found in uh, Kramer, no, Cheney State Park, Kansas. They looked like either like it was three bones. It had one had it was like smaller. It was like a connector piece, like this part of it, and the other part was a longer bone like this, or maybe this, and then another bone that was like broken off. But I'm just looking at the anatomy of this and the elbow. I'm fairly certain they were human bones found. I wish I didn't just leave them there. But I wasn't sure, so that's why I kind of left them there. And I also didn't want bad juju for stealing bones from the ground. It was like on some random trail. So if you're ever in Cheney Park, when you there's like the first trail you hit, it's a real quick trail. There's a little bridge that they made, man-made like bridge that they put in there. To the left of the bridge, as you walk over the bridge, there's like soil and then like a little creek going through. Dig into that soil, and I put uh, the bones there. I left a marker too, a pack of Marlboro cigarettes. But yeah, I'm starting with that. I was gonna make this stream about a revised version of my unified theory of the realm, but there's been some a challenge to it, and I got to do some more research about it. So I'm gonna postpone that and just make the stream. The stream is just gonna be on the space between, and not like teleportation, basically. That's what I'm gonna go into and how that could work. Uh, so here are some videos. I'll try to speed them up like really fast, so I don't get a, a strike, and because they seem to be made by like bots or something. I don't know. But here's the first one.
Number 5. In Mexico 2015, the subway cameras captured a terrifying scene. In the images, we can see how a person throws themselves onto the train tracks just as it arrives. The driver stopped the vehicle, but there was no sign of the body. When they reviewed the images captured by the security cameras, they saw something very surprising. The woman had miraculously crossed the train tracks and managed to reach the front platform without a scratch. But how? Number 4. Now we go to Japan to learn about another fascinating story. This video was captured by security cameras located on a commercial avenue. Everything seems to be normal when suddenly a young man appears out of nowhere in the middle of the street. Watch the video and judge for yourself. Number 3. The following video will truly blow your mind. The video was captured by traffic cameras and it's really incredible. This young man is walking down the street when suddenly a car appears, but seconds before being hit by the vehicle, he mysteriously disappears. But the most surprising thing is that afterwards, he appears safely across the street, as if nothing had happened. Number 2. This video was recorded by a pedestrian who was witnessing a heated argument.
I'm stopping because I don't want to get copyright. I understand that a lot of these are probably fake, but they're all found footage. Like they're all security camera footage, and they can't all be fake. I mean, at least a couple of them have to be real. I have the same theory about like you see they do like the scary creatures, but it's like the security camera footage or it's like really grainy footage. Some of them have to be real. I don't know.
Between a couple in the middle of the street. The couple argues loudly and the woman becomes more and more upset. At one point, the girl is about to kick her boyfriend when he suddenly disappears. The woman's reaction is understandable, as she doesn't understand what happened. But hey, neither do we.
And that could be fake. You can see the outline still, kind of. The reactions, but is what's weird about these. Two different footage angles too. Now I get that these can be completely fake. Every single one of these can be fake, but I'm just putting it out there.
Number 1. And we end this ranking with another amazing video.
This one
A
looks
security
fake.
guard shared this video on social media because no matter how many times he watched it, he couldn't explain what had happened. The video shows us a young man who arrives at a place and starts looking for something. He can't seem to find it, and then he reaches down, touches something, and it begins to glow. After a few flashes, the man disappears. The video is really shocking and raises many doubts about whether teleportation is possible today. And with that mysterious video, we end our top 5 list. What did you think of these videos? Leave us a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos just like this one.
That one seems kind of fake. Then I have another one here, just to point out that there's tons of examples of this.
This bizarre footage seems to show a young girl appearing out of nowhere. The video begins as a woman is seen walking alone outside.
I'll just turn off the sound so we don't get copyright strike. This one's weird too. There's the dash cam footage. It's always the crappy look, like the grainy videos that this shit pops up. That kind of makes them more realistic, I guess. I don't know. Look at this guy, just like appears out of nowhere. He could have been hopping the fence or something. He just got grainy because of the bad footage. But this one, I don't think is real. I think she just moves when the lady walks by. It's beautiful. I think she's just moving at the same exact time as this lady. That's all I think that is. This one is weird, but it seems a little too crazy. She has a halo around her head. I think this is like a stunt or something. I don't know if this one's real. But out of all of these, I think at least one or two might be real. And there's hundreds of these type of videos. Yeah, this one probably not. I guess it's a ghost type deal. It just disappears. I think that's like a ghost type thing. I think that's teleportation. I've seen this one, I think. I don't think I think it's fake because of the way they're moving the camera. Yeah, that's fake, I think. It's kind of weird. Could be easily fake, where just the guy just appeared at the same time and the guy was moving. I'm not going to just make this about teleportation. Let's make it about the space between, like paranormal, what's real, what's not. I don't know. It's kind of like teleportation. And the space between is that void, the vacuum. I'm always talking about the vacuum of space. You close the vacuum of space. As nature abhors a vacuum, whatever. And here's the first one. I already saw this one. All right. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is years ago I read this book, or half of the book, called Miracle Mastery. And tomorrow I'm going to a Airbnb that has no Wi-Fi or anything. It's out in the middle of the woods. I'm gonna go there for a couple days just to try some stuff. But one of the things I want to try is this. And this guy goes into how he learned how to do bilocation and I think teleportation. David DeBold, this guy, and he gets into how he does it, and he said it was all a breathing technique, where he would spend like an hour a day meditating and breathing in through his stomach, through his nose, in through the nose, in the stomach area, not the chest, not the lungs, stomach, not the stomach, but like the belly area, like the diaphragm area, and then breathing out through the mouth. He would do that for like 60 minutes a day, and he was also like he was mastering himself. He was like he was getting in shape, he was taking care of himself, all that kind of stuff. And he did that for like 60 days. And after like 60 days, he bilocated. He could see he can see from two different locations at once, which is wild. And a ton of people have tried this, and they said it's actually legitimate. So I don't know. And the guy also said that at some point when he would do it, he would see like people would see him do it, and sometimes he said the people wouldn't even react, like they knew that it was possible. And he said when he would do that, it was in like the mountains of like Asia, somewhere around there. Like people already knew that people could do that, and they weren't even surprised. And he's like, well, how would they already know? He's like, well, if you think about it, would you want people to know that you could do that type of stuff? Think about what the government would do. Think about what like fame. Fame is horrible. It's like it's like a curse to be famous. Why would you want that? Especially for something like this. Like look what they did to Jesus. Why would you want anyone to know? And that's what when I look through a bunch of saints articles about their abilities, they all seem to be just they would just mind their own business. They weren't trying to like spread anything. They didn't want anyone to know. They just wanted to heal people that needed help and keep it all secret. Like they didn't want to become famous. And Jesus like went against that. He wanted to make it known, I guess. I mean, my theory is I looked at hundreds of different saints articles. I have the most comprehensive list of saints on the internet. I've mentioned this before, and my theory is people started doing what Jesus was teaching for the first 300 years. Then after he died, and the reaction from the Pharisee was to just murder them all or torture them to death, like all of them. For 300 years, that's all they did. They would hunt these people that could do miracles and then kill them. That's what they did for 300 years. And then finally, they came up with the idea, wait, why don't it's obvious we're not going to stop the spread of this, so why don't we control it? And that enter Christianity. That's what I think of. And Christianity, there's a lot of truth in Christianity. But to fool someone, you tell them 9 truths and 1 lie. And the 1 lie, you make the 1 lie the most important thing. I mentioned this in a bunch of other videos. But yeah. And that guy who talks about deep breathing, the Miracle Mastery guy. Well, this is something different. This is from this controversial martial art. And the Russians just call this like breathing properly because they got that weird dry sense of humor. And this guy was a major in the military for like special forces type people, and I don't know how he's an assassin. Okay? He used to be one. He used to be an assassin. Anyway, he teaches like this breathing method, which is like it's like a train breathing method, and it's like you do it. They would teach it so that when you go into like a combat situation and all this crazy shit's going down around you, if you keep that breathing going, you don't like freeze up, and you can focus on what you need to do because all you can really think about is doing that breathing, focusing on that breathing, so it doesn't distract you. All the like the bombs going off and shit. And in the next video after this one, he even like does this thing where he has a like a 2x4, and he just starts swinging it back and forth like, real hard, and he pulls some guy up, and he's like, "All right, uh, do the breathing and try to walk past me as I swing this back and forth." And the guy like hesitates, and he's like, "Notice that you stopped breathing, right?" Because he hesitated and because he got too worried about the board. But he's like, "So just focus on the breathing, and you'll walk right past me without getting hit. I won't change my speed of swinging it." And the guy, the guy like freezes up again. It's like, yeah, it's hard, but you got to focus on the breathing. That's what the whole point of it is. And here's the breathing. He's you breathe you breathe like real. No, I'll just show it. Speed it up a little bit.
D'une charge psychologique ou physique.
Из нокдауна.
De knockdown,
Из всяких плохих вещей.
de toute mauvaise chose.
Это наша безопасность.
Ça, c'est notre sécurité.
И поэтому, если вы не освоили эту безопасность,
Constantly, you're not safe.
Si vous ne l'avez pas assimilé, on n'est pas en sécurité.
Значит, как оно работает?
How it works.
Comment ça marche?
Вот здесь ходит дыхание.
The breathing is in this part.
La respiration est dans cette partie-là.
Основное, что работает,
This
здесь,
is the part
вот
that
эта
works.
часть тела.
Stomach, belly.
C'est cette partie-là qui travaille.
Очень важна ритмичность этого дыхания.
Rhythmic side is very
Et côté rythmique,
Вдох через нос,
short inspiration through the nose.
inspire court par le nez.
выдох через губы с сопротивлением.
L'expire à
And then
travers
breathe through your
le
mouth,
nez
like
avec
blowing
le
out a candle.
Представьте, что у вас здесь горят свечи, и вам их надо задуть.
Les bougies que vous devez
Hard breathe out.
Вот ставите вот здесь руку, вы должны чувствовать, как дыхание бьется в руку.
Quand vous mettez la main, vous devez sentir l'expire qui frappe dans
You
la
have to feel
Показывай.
the breath on the
Вот примерно то, что должно идти в сильном дыхании.
C'est à
That's
peu près
kind of like
ce
what
qui va
happens
se
when,
passer
when
dans
you're
la
when
respiration forte.
you're tired.
Сейчас
You're breathing
следите
heavy.
за моей рукой.
Regardez ma main.
Simulating that.
Рука вверх, вдох, рука вниз, выдох.
Quand elle est à haut, c'est l'inspire. Vers les bas, c'est l'expire.
Now it's kind of like a train building speed. Anyway. But I mean, I know it looks weird, right? Well, look up how jet fighter pilots breathe. They breathe almost exactly like that. They're taught that so they don't pass out from the G-force. It's like a real, like they make a weird face almost because they're breathing. They have to breathe into the nose so it goes to the brain. It's all breath. All this shit is breath. But yeah, the final book of this series, I did a video on it. It's about knowing yourself because this has the best explanation for how you're supposed to know yourself. It's not something you choose. You have to figure it out. Like I don't know, but anyway, it's great book series called Cradle, and in it throughout the entire series they talk about they cycle their energy. So they do breathing, like the Miracle Mastery guy does breathing. It's like a long period of breathing, and the way they do it, they explain it more in this Cradle series. That like say if you wanted to be like a fire, I don't know, a fire ball shooter or something like that, you would do the breathing around fire and intense heat. So you pulling in that energy when you do the cycle. They call it cycling. So it's like if you wanted to be a swordsman, you want to cut, right? That's all that matters is the cutting. So you would put sharp objects around as you do the breathing. And if you want to do water, then you would do it like in a pool of water. Get what I mean? Like you're pulling that aurora, that the energy of that substance into your breathing habit. Which kind of makes sense to me. I don't know. I know it's a little out there, but uh, and they do this for hours, like since they were born. And then they go into this is just one of the things I highlighted in the last book, and it's about the space between, like the sage or whatever. He's like, there's the two highest levels before you become a sovereign is a sage and a herald. A sage is like known by an icon. Like when you think of basketball, you think of Michael Jordan. That's he's a basketball icon, right? Well, imagine that for like fire or like uh, a sword or like a Death Reaper. Like you're a killer or something. I don't know. But and then a herald is like it's more like a physical thing. Like you're more physically closed off. I don't know. He explains it here. People think of sage as like when you advance the level of sage. People think of sage as opening yourself up, and herald as closing yourself off, like being outside a house or inside. If you're in, you can't touch anything outside, and the same the other way around. So handing something. So how do the monarchs? Monarchs are people that are both sages and heralds. So how can you close yourself off and also be open yourself up? The space between. So how do monarchs ever do both? A monarch, substitute monarch for sovereign, like actually sovereign. Ever do both? The truth is, or like a god, like Zeus. Zeus would be like one of these. Like if a human actually did all this shit. I think all the gods are humans. Anyway, so how did the monarchs ever do both? Truth is, the icons are still there, and you're just as close to them as you were before. It's just that a sage can read that icon like a book, and a herald is blind to it. So am I gonna move myself around and cut it? I don't know. But yeah, it's like the space between. You have to get into the not closed off, not open. The space between. The vacuum, the void, the space between. Yeah, when I was looking through this, the world you see is based on sacrifice of oneness. It is a picture of complete disunity and total lack of joining. Around each entity is built a wall, so seemingly solid that it looks as if what is inside can never reach without. Inside can never reach without the space between. And what is out can never reach and join with what is locked away within the wall, the space between. This is a Course in Miracles. That's the name of the book. Each part must sacrifice the other part to keep itself complete. For if they joined, each one would lose its own identity. And by their separation are themselves in pain. I think he's wrong about that last part. It's basically explaining the space between. Like there's that in between. And so when I was looking into this, I looked into this stuff for a long time, but I've never heard of this guy. There's this guy. I was looking into who came up with the word teleportation, and I found this dude. His name is Charles Fort. Fortean. You ever heard of like a Fortean phenomena, something like that? Well, this guy used to go to the New York Library and just document all these weird paranormal occurrences that he would find. And he found tons of stuff like frogs falling from the sky, fishes falling from the sky, random materials falling from the sky, stones falling from the sky, ball lightning, human combustion. He did all this in like the early 1900s. Poltergeist events, unaccountable noises and explosions, levitation, unidentified flying objects, unexplained disappearances, giant wheels of light in the oceans, and all kinds of stuff. Alien abduction. No, I don't think he went into alien abduction. No, it says he was the first person to explain strange human appearances and disappearances by alien abduction, which I don't think that was really real, and was an early proponent of the extraterrestrial hypothesis. But yeah, I started reading this book about where he sees these teleportations. He says he begins it by saying, I omit about 60 instances of seeming teleportations of stones and water, of which I have records. Numerousness doesn't have meaning to stand by. I think it kind of does, but anyway. The simplest cases of teleportation were like stones that would just drop out of the sky in the middle of like a field. Like he goes into this farm in Trenton where these two guys were in the middle of the farm, like tilling the land or whatever. There's nothing around them. There's no one near them, and stones would start falling out of the sky for no apparent reason. And this is in 1884. There's no planes driving by that were throwing stones out. So how? How did they just appear there? And he goes into more. He was like one of the first. I think he's like one of the first guys who actually like researched like paranormal activity type stuff. And he did all this in like the early 1900s. Charles Fort is his name. I've heard the name. I've heard Fortean before, but I didn't know it was from this guy. If there is teleportation, it is in two orders or fields: electric and non-electric, or phenomena that occur during thunderstorms, and phenomena that occur under a cloudless sky and in houses. That kind of ties into what I was going to talk about with the unified theory. I think it's magnetic and electric. And then the non-electric part he's talking about kind of sounds like a void type deal. I don't know. But with which I have not swamped this book of showers of living things, the rarest of all statements is of injury to the fallen creatures. Then from impressions that have arisen from other data, we think that the creatures may not have fallen all the way from the sky, but may have fallen from appearing points not high above the ground, or may have fallen a considerable distance under counter gravitational influence. All right, let's do a couple more. A suggestion that is not so sensible. This guy's really like tongue-in-cheek throughout his whole book. And this year, 1842, somebody had learned the secrets of teleportation, and to avoid attracting much attention in any one place, was experimenting in places far apart. It seems likely enough to me that if there be teleportation, human beings may have come upon knowledge of it and may have used it. And his whole theory is that we used to know how to do all this shit because this is how we would survive in the jungle against like these giant animals and shit. Our mind would just learn how to do this so we can deal with that. But nowadays, everything's like there's no wild humans anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. He goes into mysterious robberies, wondering whether a teleported power has ever been used criminally. I don't think it could be. The way I've seen it is I couldn't find the video, but there was a TikTok video talking about teleportation. The guy goes into it's not a manifestation of your will. It's like trusting the creator. And like people think, well, what if you teleport? What if you teleport into a wall on accident? And it's like that's like an excuse that means you don't fully trust the creator. And like on a belief level, why would a creator allow you to go into like a bank vault and steal shit if you could teleport? I don't think it would work like that. It would have to be a need for it. And the trick is building that need, I guess. You can apply this to the belief magic stuff I was talking about. Like where you put conditions, make conditions on it, so that it makes it more believable that you can do it to yourself. And if you believe that you can do it, then you're believing in yourself, and if you're believing in yourself, you're believing in the creator. Also, with that breathing thing, this miracle mastery guy, he would do the breathing for like an hour a day. What if you did this breathing for 5 hours one day, what would happen? That's what I'm going to try to figure out. Oh, nature. The look to me is that throughout what is loosely called nature, teleportation exists as a means of distribution of things and materials, and that sometimes human beings have command mostly unconsciously, though perhaps sometimes as a development from research and experimental research. It is said that in savage tribes there are rainmakers, and it may be that among savages there are teleportationists. In other words, wild humans can do this, I think. But the whole thing is, I think there's another world hidden underneath ours, like the underworld, kind of, or the overworld, whatever you can call it. And that manga Hunter x Hunter explains it perfectly. I don't know if I should share the clip. It's kind of a long video, long stream so far. Let's check the chat. Maybe I'll go into Hunter x Hunter. I'm buffering a lot, so I'm just gonna cut it here. Then. Yeah, the internet's poor. When I get when I get back home, I'll start doing videos where I can actually there won't be the buffering won't be as bad. I'll be in a hotel doing this. But I hope you enjoyed the stream on the space between, or like paranormal, and specifically like teleportation type stuff. And I'll probably get more into this in the future. Let me know if you like it. Hope you enjoyed the stream.